Okay, so I'm going to try and do virtually the impossible, which is to do Inventor in 10 minutes. So Inventor is hidden away in Autodesk, Autodesk Inventor. And here, if you right click on it, you can pin it to the taskbar. I'm not sure if you can the start menu, but I've already done it on the taskbar. So down in the bottom, you can see it there. So when it boots up initially, you can either start anew or you can go to something you already had. So I'm going to do a new IPT or part. Ignore this warning symbol and make sure you're watching. So you should have a green screen in front of you. So first of all, we are in virtually infinite or infinitesimal space. So we can go as big or small as we like. And we start with a new sketch on the XY plane. So I normally click around here. So we have the X and the Y axes and the Z axis coming towards us. And the first thing I said was that we're going to make a shape. Make sure you get a green dot at the end of the shape. The shape should not have any cross lines or tails. So let's assume that. Let's see what happens with that. So I go extrude. And if I was to do that one, it wouldn't work anyway because it has self-intersecting lines. By the way, you can edit the sketch even though I'm not technically sketching. If I did want to extrude that, it still wouldn't. So I'm going to extrude this. Now, occasionally, if you'll see a shape like this, where it becomes what we call a surface. So that simply takes the line and gives you a specific area. Hands up if anyone saw that. So just Josh and someone else. Okay, so that would be if you either hit that and wanted it, which you probably wouldn't. Normally we work with a solid, and this is the solid. We hit OK, so you can change the distance. To make a new sketch, we click the last button. I'll go into that tool a bit more in a minute. And we can draw some more profiles. So each outline is called a profile. So I already have how many? How many profiles have I got? 2, and now I've got 3, except I didn't close that loop. So you got to be real careful here to get the green dot. Now, there is so that might not work. There is a way. Hands up if anyone has ever seen this happen. So what I'm doing, this is meant to happen if you drag in one particular direction. That's 90 degrees. That's 180. So I drag 180 plus 90 is 270, and of course that's 0. So it is intentional. So it works, and I just made another curve. So that would be 0. The line is essentially tangent. Now what's happening here is we're getting little symbols coming up. Anyone explain some of these? So what's this here? Degrees meaning what does it really mean between these two? So it's the angle. So that's the angle in degrees, and that's the length of the line. Also notice down at the bottom we have instructions. Down at the bottom here is XY position and how far away from the other endpoint it is. So you have a lot of information. Notice we also have a bunch of other stuff. So let's see. So that's, I'm trying to get that symbol would mean it's like an upside down T or a backwards Y. Nobody? Let's do this to speed it up. Okay, so is that a profile? Will it extrude? Because it has cross lines. Now up on the toolbar up top here, I'm trying to follow with my mouse and laser because someone might watch the video. We've got create, and these are for lines and stuff, for graphics, modify, and I'm going to use trim. We also have constraints, which I'll talk about in a minute. So if you trim all these lines out that you didn't want, if you get it right, that will now extrude. So, and what's actually happening if I draw a rectangle over this, you can't really see it, but that symbol there means those two lines are perpendicular. That symbol there means that line is parallel probably to another line. By the way, zooming in, if I point at something and zoom away, it will zoom to that. If I point at something and zoom in, so if I point at this shape I just drew, it zooms in. Point at that, it zooms in. It's fabulous. If you ever lose it completely, your model, just hit the home button, it'll bring it right back. The cube itself, you can click on faces. So that's the upside down, that's the bottom, and so on. You can rotate it. You can click on any corner or edge. So if I click on that edge, it goes to halfway. But when you're sketching, you should be perpendicular to the sketch for obvious reasons. So that line, I think, is set up. I can't see what it's set up to. Let's see. Those two are parallel. You see that? That's equal with another. That's parallel with that. So it knows all the geometry. Not only that, it knows the sizes. So I can measure the length. If I want that to be 0.1 instead of 0.07, I can hit check, watch, and it made it 0.1. I think that's enough on that. Next, extruding. So when there are four profiles, I have to click them all to do them. And remember, you're meant to be watching this as a big one. When I go backwards, it is doing a cut. And you will notice over here, it automatically latches to the cut. That's a join, that's a cut. If I try to cut, flipping directions of these buttons, if I try to cut nothing, it will not work. So for example, you can't borrow money from someone who doesn't have any, right? Unless you're the government. I'm sorry, I'm losing it here. Now, next. It sounds like a joke, but it's really actually quite serious, as we found out yesterday. Now, because the Wall Street crash. Now, that's a taper. So if you grab, and I'm going to do the top view for this one, grab the sphere at the base of the arrow, you can taper. That's a negative taper. And the reason it's bugging out is because if it's mathematically impossible, it won't let you do it. So it's got so many algorithms in it. That's where all that money was spent. Okay, so we got dimension spline. Okay, there's one command, so we can edit a feature. So I could edit that extrude, hit OK. So it's almost like you can go back to the beginning again, edit within reason, bloop. So you can, it's called parametric, share sketch or create a new sketch. So that's that toolbar. Now next, I haven't shown you this, you can try it, but it should look familiar. There are two types of splines. The first one is, and I got 12 seconds, you can edit these and save to your F drive because my free recording limit is done. Goodbye.